My brother was holding a microphone when he told the school board what I was worth. She only changes oil. He pointed toward me with a smile, and my father laughed before anyone else knew whether they were supposed to. We were standing inside the garage my mother had helped build, surrounded by parents, mechanics, reporters, and 3 rows of yellow school buses. A brass safety plaque waited under a blue cloth on the stage. The district had come to renew the biggest contract our family had ever had. I stood beside a drain pan in disposable white coveralls, exactly where my father had put me. 20 feet away, the district transportation director held a clear evidence sleeve against her navy jacket. Inside it was a split black brake hose with a strip of red paper trapped under the metal clamp. My initials were on that red paper. My brother had not noticed the sleeve yet. Neither had my father. They were still enjoying the laugh. Then Denise Cole walked toward the microphone and asked my brother one question. "If Lee only changes oil, Travis, why did you install a brake hose she rejected?" That was when the room stopped looking at me like I was the embarrassing daughter in a pair of dirty boots. That was also when my father understood the contract was not getting signed. 3 days earlier, I had been under a school bus with my left hand around a brake hose and my right hand on a gauge. The dangerous problems are often quiet. They show up as a soft place under your thumb or a gauge that drops half a mark. The hose looked new, but when Lewis pressed the brake pedal from the driver's seat, it moved against my palm. Not much, just enough. "Again," I called. Lewis pressed the pedal. The hose swelled near the crimp, then settled. I slid out from under the bus on my creeper and looked up at him through the open folding door. Grounded. Louis Morneau had worked at Keene Fleet Service for 11 years. He had gray in his beard, 3 daughters in the district, and enough experience to know I did not ground a bus for fun. "Pressure drop?" he asked. "Small one." "Could be the chamber." "Could be, it isn't." I stood, wiped my hands, and opened the side cabinet where we kept red rejection tags. The tags were bright enough to be seen across a bay. My mother had started using them when the garage was still 2 lifts and a gravel lot. Red meant stop. No discussion. No favor. No bus moved until the person who signed the tag cleared it. I wrote my initials, LK, and looped the red tag through the hose bracket. Lewis climbed down and looked toward the buses outside. How many did Travis put on? That's what I'm going to find out. I was 36 and had spent 22 years in that garage. Mom taught me to clean a gasket surface, set a bearing, and listen to a bus before I was old enough to drive one. She had been the better mechanic. Dad had been the better salesman. Mom worked until cancer left her sitting on a stool beside my bay, checking my hands when she could no longer trust her own. She died when I was 27. Travis came home from college that year with a business degree and clean fingernails. Dad gave him an office with a window. I kept Mom's bay. For a while, I told myself that was enough. I had drivers who asked for me by name and mechanics who brought me the problems they could not explain. What I did not have was a place in my father's version of the family. That week, the garage was getting ready for its 50th anniversary open house. Dad had ordered banners, catering, a portable stage, and a history wall with enlarged photographs from every decade. The center photograph showed him in front of our first building. The photograph had been cropped. My mother had stood beside him in the original with a wrench in her hand. In the enlarged version, there was only Dad. The missing half of that picture matched the story Dad had been telling since she died. He remembered her as the wife who supported him, not the mechanic who built beside him. He remembered Travis as the future because Travis wore a clean shirt and talked about growth. I was the daughter under the lift, useful whenever something broke and invisible as soon as the engine ran again. I had spent years pretending that did not hurt. Work did not need applause. A safe bus did not care whose name was in a program. All of that was true, but it did not make the erasure harmless. There was a difference between choosing quiet work and being told quiet work was all you deserved. The last photograph on the wall showed Travis in a navy suit under the words "The Next Generation." There was no photograph of me. There was no mention of Mom's red tag rule, the night shifts she worked, or the school district contract she won by repairing 6 buses during a blizzard when 2 other garages closed. I found Dad near the stage, arguing with a caterer about the coffee tables. "Where's Mom?" I asked. He did not look at the wall. "What?" "In the history display." "We had limited space." "You had 50 feet. He lowered his voice. "Not now, Lee." "The first picture was cropped." The picture was damaged. The copy in Mom's toolbox isn't. His jaw tightened. That was the expression he used when facts became disrespect. The district is bringing the board president, he said. Denise Cole is presenting the safety recognition. I need everyone focused. I am focused. One of the buses has a bad brake hose. He looked past me toward the stage again, then change it. It is a new hose. That got his attention for half a second. From the new shipment, he asked, yes. His eyes moved toward Travis's office. Then he put a hand on my shoulder and steered me away from the caterer like I was the one creating discomfort. Handle your bay, he said. Let Travis handle the contract. The contract puts children on those buses. Then we should care why a new hose is swelling. He told me that my role at the open house would be an oil change demonstration for families. The district wanted more hands-on exhibits, he said. They needed something simple for children to watch. Travis will handle the technical tour, Dad added. He has not worked a full day in a bay since he came back. He understands the whole operation. There it was, the line my father had been drawing for years. Travis understood the business. I understood whatever was leaking under it. If your family has ever acted like the work in your hands did not count, subscribe, because you will understand why I kept looking under those buses. I went back to Bay 3 and tested a hose from the new shipment. The rubber split with a flat snap. Lewis stared at the broken hose. That's not a bad part, he said. That's a bad batch. I know. I checked enough of the shipment to know the first failure was not a fluke. Then I marked every carton with a red rejection tag and grounded the buses that already carried the hoses. Travis came into the bay while I was grounding the affected buses. He wore a pale blue shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. It was the closest he came to dressing like a mechanic. A photographer followed him, taking pictures for the anniversary program. Why are buses outside the fence? He asked. They have the rejected hoses. And the hoses failed the bench. The photographer lowered her camera. Travis smiled at her. Give us a minute. When she left, the smile went with her. One split, I said, on a test bench. Where would you prefer it split? He walked to the shelf and read my tag. You grounded buses 4 days before the contract ceremony. I rejected unsafe hoses. I am the safety director. He had started using that title 2 months earlier, though the position did not officially exist yet. Dad planned to announce it at the open house. I pointed at the split hose behind the shield. Then direct some safety. Travis glanced toward the open bay door to see who might have heard me. You see one part, he said. I have to see payroll, insurance, vendors, and the whole contract. The buses carry children. I waited. He leaned closer and lowered his voice. The hoses are fine, he said. One split. His face hardened. Remove the tags. No. You work for this company. I am the certified mechanic who tested the parts. I am telling you the parts are cleared. Then put your initials on the red tags. He looked at them. He did not touch the marker. Dad arrived 10 minutes later. Travis must have called him from the office because Dad came in ready to be angry. He did not inspect the broken hose. He looked at the buses outside and asked what grounding them would cost. Less than a funeral, I said. Dad shut the bay door. There were 5 of us inside, Dad, Travis, Lewis, Cal from the next bay, and me. We are not talking like that, Dad said. Then let's talk about the test. Travis says the hoses are cleared. I watched one split. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Lee, I know you mean well. I hated that sentence more than if he had called me stupid. This is not about what I mean. The district expects those buses tomorrow. Then the district needs replacement buses. And who pays for that? The person who installed rejected hoses. Travis stepped forward, careful. Dad moved between us, though I had not raised my voice or taken one step. Your brother is trying to keep this place alive, he said. I am trying to keep the brakes working. We have carried you in this business for years. That was new. I looked at him. Carried me. You have never had to worry about bringing in clients. You have never had to make payroll. You come in, do the job in front of you, and go home. I asked one question. Are you ordering me to clear those hoses? Dad looked at Travis. Then he looked at me. I am ordering you to remove the tags and return the buses to service. I will not. Then go home. The buses stay grounded. Give me your bay key. Louis shifted beside the pressure bench. Cal looked at the floor. I took the master bay key from my belt. It had belonged to Mom before it belonged to me. The blue plastic cover was cracked through the middle. I set it on the work table. Dad picked it up. Take the rest of the week, he said. Come back Saturday for the open house. We will talk after the contract is signed. There will not be a contract if those hoses stay on the buses. That sounds like a threat. It is a mechanical fact. I took my jacket from the hook and left. At home, I kept seeing the split in the hose. There had been no crash and no child in danger yet. That was the trick with prevention. When you did it right, nothing happened, and people used that nothing as proof you had overreacted. I slept badly. At 4:30 the next morning, Louis called. You awake? Yes. Tags are gone. I sat up, all of them. Cartons are empty. Travis had a night crew install the rest. He told dispatch you cleared the batch before you left. For a few seconds, I could hear only the small hum of my refrigerator. Some of the buses are back in service, he said. Do not get yourself fired, I told him. Lee. I mean it, I can handle this. How? I did not know yet. I drove to the garage before sunrise and parked across the street. My master key was gone, but the buses waiting outside did not require one. A bus sat near the fence with its front wheel turned. I crouched with a flashlight and found the new hose. The metal clamp was tight. Under its edge, barely visible, was a strip of red. Travis's night crew had pulled off the tag, but missed the strip trapped beneath the clamp. Part of my initial was still visible. I sat in my truck and called the district safety line. I said, I rejected those brake hoses. Travis installed them anyway. One of my red tags is still under a clamp. Do not put children on those buses. Then I ended the call. At 6:12 my phone rang. Is this Lee Keene? Yes. This is Denise Cole with District Transportation. Where are you? Across from Keene Fleet. Meet me at the district yard. Denise wore steel-toed boots. When I arrived, she was already under the bus with a flashlight and a district mechanic. She slid out and looked at me. Show me the tag. I pointed through the wheel well. The mechanic tested the line. The hose split at the crimp. No one spoke for a moment. Denise walked to the bus, crouched, and looked at the split. Remove it intact, she said. The mechanic removed the hose without disturbing the clamp. The torn red tag came with it. Denise held the hose in both hands. You rejected this before installation. Yes. Who ordered it installed? My brother. And your father. Backed him. She studied me for a second. The contract event is tomorrow. I know. Denise handed the part to the safety officer, who placed it in a long, clear sleeve. None of those buses moves until we finish, she said. Good. I also need you at the open house. That surprised me. Why? Because your brother says you cleared the hoses. I felt something inside me go still. He used my name. Yes. I looked away toward the buses lined along the fence. For years, Travis had acted like my skill was too small to mention. Now he had found one place where it was large enough to use. I rejected them. I know. How? Denise lifted the evidence sleeve. The red tag stayed under the clamp. It tells me who rejected the hose and who installed it anyway. Travis will say I planted it. I watched my mechanic remove it. Dad will call it a family argument. Brakes are not a family argument. She told me not to contact either man before the event. Can you stay quiet for one day? She asked. I have stayed quiet for about 10 years. One more then. Dad called 9 times that afternoon. I did not answer until the 10th. Where were you this morning? He asked. Why? The district pulled the buses. Then they got my message. Silence. When Dad spoke again, his voice had changed. What did you do? I reported the hoses. You went outside this family. You put rejected parts on school buses. We were handling it. By using my name. Another silence. I could picture him looking through the office window toward Travis. Come in, he said. We need to talk. No. Lee, do not make me ask twice. You took my key and sent me home. This is still your family. The buses are still full of children. He exhaled into the phone. The open house is tomorrow. We can solve this privately before people get the wrong idea. Which idea is wrong? That we ignored a safety issue. You did. You are emotional because of what happened in the bay. A hose split under pressure. I mean with your key. He was trying to move the argument somewhere he could win. If I was a hurt daughter, he could calm me. If I was a certified mechanic reporting a brake failure, he had to answer me. I will be at the open house, I said. He softened immediately. Good, good, we will put this behind us. No, Denise Cole asked me to attend. He stopped breathing for half a beat. Why? Ask her tomorrow. I ended the call. The open house began at 10 Saturday morning. By 9, the yard looked less like a garage and more like a campaign stop. The floors had been scrubbed. Blue and gold balloons were tied to tool cabinets. 3 polished buses stood in a line with paper signs describing Keene Fleet's safety record. The stage had been built in front of Bay 1. Behind it hung a banner. 50 years of family, 50 years of trust. The history wall ran along the office side. Dad alone in the first photograph. Travis alone in the last. Mom and I existed nowhere between them. I wore clean black work pants and my gray mechanic shirt. My name patch was over my left pocket. Beneath it was my state school bus certification patch. Dad met me at the employee entrance. His smile looked painful. You came. Denise asked me too. Yes, you mentioned that. He held a bundle of white material. What's that? Coveralls. Mine are in my locker. These are for the oil demonstration, cleaner for the photographs. They were disposable painter's coveralls, thin and bright white, the kind an inspector might wear in a dirty crawl space. You want me to cover my uniform? I want the event to look organized. My uniform has the company name on it. And grease that never quite washes out. I looked down, the shirt was clean. There was a faint dark mark near the bottom button. It had been there for 2 years. Dad pushed the coveralls toward me. Please do not fight me on every detail today. Where is Travis? Giving the board members a tour. Of the bays. Of the operation. Does Denise have the contract? His eyes narrowed. Why do you keep asking about Denise? You should ask Travis. He stepped closer. Listen to me. Whatever story you told the district, we can correct it, but not in front of the press, not in front of our employees. Your mother would not want you to tear apart what she built. He had cropped her out of the wall and still found a way to use her against me. I took the coveralls. Mom would have cut every one of those hoses off herself. I put them on and walked to the demonstration area. The oil station sat near the rear doors. Children could turn a clean filter on a display engine and receive a plastic wrench. My role was to smile and explain that oil kept engines healthy. At 10:15, the first families came through. I liked the children. They asked direct questions. Are you a real mechanic? Yes. Can girls fix the big buses? This one can. A little girl with 2 braids studied my covered chest where the uniform patches were hidden. Why are you wearing paper clothes? My father likes clean pictures. Her mother heard me and pressed her lips together so she would not laugh. Across the yard, Travis led school officials toward the history wall, talking about modernization, quality controls, and the next generation. Denise had not arrived yet. Megan came to the oil station carrying anniversary programs. She had worked in the office since high school and knew every way to disappear when Dad and Travis began talking over people. She handed me a program. My name was not in it. The employee page listed Travis as Director of Safety and Operations. It listed Lewis, Cal, both dispatchers, and the new apprentice who had started 6 weeks earlier. There was no Lee Keene. You printed these? I asked. Megan looked toward Dad. The marketing company did. From the list you sent. Lee, did you leave me off? Her fingers tightened around the stack. Dad said the program needed to reflect leadership and public-facing staff. Lewis is in it. Because of his service anniversary. The apprentice is in it. I asked Dad about you. What did he say? Megan's eyes filled, but she blinked it back. He said if I could not obey a simple list, he would find somebody else to run payroll. I looked at her, so you followed the list. I have a mortgage and 2 kids, she said. Please don't do anything today. That hurt more than the missing name. What do you think I am going to do? I don't know. Dad says you called the district because you're angry about Travis's promotion. Is that what you think? She looked at the program in her hands instead of at me. I think this family cannot survive another fight. A bus hose split. Dad said it was one defective part. 3 samples failed. I don't understand that stuff. You understand red means stop. She had no answer. The stage microphone came on with a burst of feedback. Megan flinched. I have to seat the board members, she said. Then go. She walked away with the programs pressed to her chest. I folded mine once and put it in the pocket of the paper coveralls. By 11, the garage was full. Parents stood beside drivers. Mechanics from 2 neighboring counties had come. A local reporter filmed the stage while a photographer took pictures of Dad shaking hands beneath the trust banner. The brass plaque remained covered. Travis brought a group of guests into the bay beside me. This is our public maintenance education station, he said. We believe safety begins with the basics. He stopped beside the engine stand. Lee handles our routine service demonstrations. A man from the school board looked at me. How long have you been with the company? 17 years on payroll. Travis laughed. Longer if you count sweeping floors as a kid. I counted the years Mom trained me. His smile tightened. The board member noticed it. You are Ray's daughter too. Yes. I did not see you on the history wall. Travis stepped between us and the display. Lee prefers the bays. Did she tell you that? The man asked. Before Travis could answer, a driver called my name from the next bus. She wanted me to listen to a rattle. I excused myself. I could feel Travis watching me walk away. The rattle was a loose panel screw. It took less than a minute to fix. When I came back, Travis had moved the group on. That was how he handled me. He waited for work to call, knowing I would answer, then explained my absence as preference. Near noon, he brought 2 reporters into Bay 3 and claimed his controls had caught a bad hose before it affected service. I was 10 feet away, helping a boy fit a filter onto the demonstration engine. Lewis was standing by his toolbox. His head came up. One reporter asked who found it. My team, Travis said. Lewis looked at me. I shook my head once. Not yet. Travis saw the exchange. He ended the tour and came straight toward me when the reporters moved away. What did you tell Denise? He asked. The truth. He lowered his voice. You are about to cost 23 people their jobs. You ordered failed hoses installed. The district replaced them because I called. He stepped closer. Tell Denise you panicked after one bad test. No. Tell her. No. Do you want Megan to lose her house? Do you want Lewis unemployed at 58? Do you want children on a bus with a failed brake hose? Nothing happened. That is what you say when somebody stops it in time. His mouth flattened. Stay at your station during the ceremony. I plan to. And keep your mouth shut. You should have thought about that before you used my name. He walked away. At 12:20, Denise arrived. She came through the main doors with the school board president and 2 district officials. In her left hand was a narrow clear sleeve. The split brake hose rested inside it. My red tag showed through the plastic. Dad saw her and hurried across the floor with both hands out. Denise, we were starting to worry. We will discuss everything during the presentation, Denise said. Dad chose to hear that as reassurance. Perfect. The plaque is ready. Travis has prepared a few words about our controls. Denise looked past him toward me. She did not nod. She did not smile. She let her eyes rest on the paper coveralls, then on the oil pan at my feet. Dad turned and saw where she was looking. Lee is doing our family education station, he said quickly. She has always been happiest with the hands-on side. Denise shifted the evidence sleeve against her jacket. Has she? Since she was a kid. I see. Dad guided her toward the reserved seats. She went with him. For the next 20 minutes, I watched my father place everyone where he needed them. Board officials in front, reporters along the aisle, mechanics standing at the back, family beside the stage. He motioned for Megan to join him and Travis near the plaque. He did not motion for me. The white coveralls made me easy to see anyway. Stay with me, because the part they called dirty work was already sitting in that room with a red tag on it. Dad took the microphone first. He welcomed the district and told the story of a young man named Ray who built a garage through grit. Mom became my late wife, Carol, who supported the dream. Supported, her name had been on the original business license, but in Dad's story, she supported. Then he turned to Travis. A family business only survives when the next generation understands both where it came from and where it must go. Travis joined him on stage. The photographer raised her camera. Dad announced that Travis would become Director of Safety and Operations after the new district contract was signed. People applauded. I looked at Denise. She did not. Dad praised Travis for protecting jobs while raising standards. Then Travis took the microphone. "Safety is not a slogan here," he said. "It is a system." Behind him, the banner said 50 years of trust. In front of him, Denise held the hose. Travis claimed his new testing rules had identified a supplier issue before it reached the road. Lewis moved from the back wall to stand closer to me. "I can't listen to this," he whispered. Then watch Denise. "Why?" "She has the hose." He saw the sleeve. His eyebrows lifted. On stage, Travis was thanking the district for recognizing our management team's commitment to proactive safety. Elena Alvarez, the board president, turned toward Denise and said something. Denise answered quietly. Dad reached for the edge of the blue cloth covering the plaque. "Before we unveil this recognition," Elena said, standing, "I have a question." Dad let go of the cloth. "Of course." Elena pointed toward me. "The mechanic at the education station. Is she Lee Keen?" Every head near the stage turned. Dad smiled. "Yes, my younger daughter." "She is the mechanic who checks the school bus brakes, correct?" The room became quieter. Dad glanced at Travis. "We have several qualified technicians." That was not my question. Travis stepped forward with the microphone. "Lee has technical training," he said. "Her day-to-day role is more limited." Elena looked at the history wall. "Why is she not listed among your employees?" Megan's face changed. Dad said, "The program was not meant to be exhaustive. It lists your apprentice." A few people turned to look at the folded programs in their hands. Travis gave a small laugh. "We are getting a little deep into family details." "You are asking the district to honor a family safety legacy," Elena said. "I am trying to understand who performs the safety work." That was the moment Travis could have told the truth. He could have said my name. He could have said I tested the batch. He could have admitted he had made a bad purchase and then made it worse. Instead, he looked at me beside the oil pan, dressed in white paper overalls, and saw the role he and Dad had built for me. He smiled at the crowd. "She only changes oil." The microphone carried every word through the garage. Dad laughed. It was one short burst, automatic and relieved, as if Travis had found a charming way out of an awkward question. Two vendors laughed with him. Someone near the catering table chuckled. Then the laugh spread just enough to become public. Travis pointed toward the demonstration engine. "And she is very good at it. Every family business needs someone who is willing to handle the dirty jobs. But safety decisions require somebody who understands the whole business." I looked at my father. He did not correct him. He smiled toward the board like this explanation should settle everything. Megan stood beside the plaque with the anniversary programs in her hands. She lowered her eyes. For 1 second, I was 27 again, standing beside Mom's empty bay while Dad handed Travis the office keys. I had spent years telling myself I did not need a title. I did not need my photograph on a wall. I did not need a seat on stage. Most of that was true. What I had still wanted, though I hated admitting it, was for my father to know the difference between humility and humiliation. He knew. He had chosen humiliation because it protected the son he had put on the banner. The little girl with braids was standing near her mother at the front of the crowd. She looked from Travis to me, confused. An hour earlier, I had told her girls could fix big buses. Now the man on stage had told her I turned a filter and nothing more. I reached for the zipper of the disposable coveralls. The sound was loud in the quiet after the laughter. I pulled the white material down from my shoulders and stepped out of it. My gray mechanic shirt showed beneath it. LEAH was stitched over one pocket. My mechanic patch was over the other. I folded the paper coveralls once and placed them beside the drain pan. I did not walk toward the stage. I did not defend myself. I stood where Dad had placed me and let the lie remain in the open. Denise rose from her chair. She carried the evidence sleeve to the stage and held out her hand for the microphone. Travis looked at Dad. Dad looked at the covered plaque. Denise kept her hand out. Travis gave her the microphone. Mr. Keene, she said, looking at my brother, you just told this room Lee only changes oil. Travis tried a friendly smile. I was simplifying roles. Then help me simplify this. She lifted the clear sleeve. The black brake hose hung inside it, split near the metal crimp. The torn red tag was still caught beneath the clamp. Reporters raised their cameras. Parents leaned closer. Denise turned toward me. Lee, is that your red tag? Yes. What does a red tag mean at Keene Fleet Service? The part is rejected. Nothing moves until the mechanic who signed it clears it. Denise faced the audience. I watched this hose come off a district bus. Lee's red rejection tag was trapped beneath the clamp. No one moved. She held the sleeve higher. The hose failed during our test. It split at the crimp. A parent in the front row covered her mouth. The event was no longer about a family story on a wall. Parents were thinking about their children on those buses. Denise looked at Travis. Lee rejected the hose before it was installed. Travis installed it anyway. Travis reached for the microphone. Denise moved it away. We are not finished. He dropped his hand. Denise turned toward the oil station. You said she only changes oil. Being under the buses is how Lee found the brake danger before a child climbed aboard. The work you used to make her small is what kept those buses parked. No one laughed this time. The photographer who had followed Travis through the bays lowered her camera and looked at him. Lewis took one step forward until he stood beside me. Then Cal did the same. The little girl with braids stared at my mechanic patch. Travis finally found his voice. This is not what happened. Denise gave him the microphone. He grabbed it too quickly. Lee resented my promotion, he said. She could have planted that tag. There it was, his first move. He could no longer call the hose safe, so he called me jealous. Dad nodded beside him. There has been tension, he said. A lot of grief in this family was never properly addressed. He meant Mom. He was using her again. Denise waited until they finished. I watched the hose come off, Denise said. The tag was already trapped under the clamp. Travis's face lost color. The part tells the story. Lee rejected it. Travis installed it. The tag stayed under the clamp. The hose failed. Simple. Travis looked toward Dad. Dad stepped in front of him. Denise, this is clearly serious, he said. Nobody here is minimizing that. 5 minutes earlier, he had laughed. But we are still a family company, Dad continued. We had an internal breakdown in communication. That is on me as owner. We can correct it today. He turned toward me and spread one hand in my direction. Lee, come up here. I did not move. Please, he said louder. The whole room watched us. Your brother spoke carelessly. Effective immediately, I am naming you head mechanic. He looked around the room, checking whether the offer was working. Your mother would be proud to see both of her children leading this company together. His second move was bargaining. He had taken my key on Thursday. On Saturday, with cameras pointed at him and the contract in Denise's hand, he offered me a title. For years, that title would have meant he saw what Mom had taught me. I had pictured hearing it in private, after a hard job, with no audience and nothing for him to save. I had pictured him handing me Mom's old key and saying the garage needed my judgment, not just my hands. This was different. Cameras were pointed at him. Parents were waiting for an answer. Denise still held the failed hose. He was offering me a costume for his next version of the story. Standing beside the drain pan, I realized a title given to stop public consequences was not recognition. It was another tool he wanted to use. No, I said. Dad blinked. Lee. This is not about what you call me. I just apologized. It is about what you put on the buses. He glanced at the parents. We will replace every part. Because the district caught you. Because you brought it to our attention. I brought it to your attention in Bay 3. You took my key. Lewis spoke from beside me. She did. Dad turned toward him. Lewis kept going. We watched the hose split on the bench. Lee tagged the shipment. Travis told the night crew to install it. Cal nodded. That is what happened. Dad stared at both men like they had broken a private rule. This is not the time, he said. It was the time Thursday, Lewis answered. Megan stepped away from the plaque. She was still holding the programs. Her hands shook. Dad told me to make the hoses look approved, she said. Dad's face changed more at her voice than it had at the hose. Megan, stop. He told me to use Lee's name. You do not understand what you're saying. I understand she rejected them. She looked at me then. It was the first time all day she had done it without looking away. I changed it, she said. I was scared I would lose my job. The garage stayed quiet. I did not rush to forgive her. I did not punish her either. I let the truth be what it was. Denise took the microphone back. The district's decision is effective immediately. Dad turned toward her. Decision. The safety recognition is withdrawn. She reached behind her, took the blue cloth from the plaque and pulled it away. The brass plate read, Keene Fleet Service. 32 years of excellence in student transportation safety. Denise lifted the plaque from its stand and handed it to the safety officer. Cameras caught every second. The school bus contract is frozen, she said. The affected buses stay grounded and another garage will cover the routes. Dad gripped the side of the podium. This will put people out of work. Installing rejected brake parts put children at risk. We corrected the parts. The district corrected them. Travis's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Elena Alvarez stood beside Denise. No district representative will sign anything here, she said. One reporter asked Travis why he installed a rejected hose. Another asked Dad why Lee was missing from the company program. A parent held up her phone and asked if her son's afternoon bus had carried one of the hoses. The room turned away from the stage and toward the actual questions. Dad tried to answer all of them at once. No child was harmed. This is being taken out of context. Each sentence made the next one weaker. Travis stepped down from the stage and came toward me. Are you happy now? He asked. His voice was low, but the nearest reporter heard him. No. You destroyed Mom's company. You put rejected hoses on buses. Because this place cannot run on your feelings. It cannot run on failed brakes either. You wanted my job. I wanted you to stop the buses. He searched my face for anger because anger would have made us equal. Two siblings fighting, a family mess. I did not give him that. I gave you the chance in Bay 3, I said. You chose the contract. He looked past me at the mechanics. Everyone back to work, he shouted. We have buses to strip. No one moved. Louis folded his arms. Cal walked to his toolbox and closed the lid. The apprentice, a 19-year-old named Noah, looked at Dad for permission, then at the split hose in Denise's hand. He took off his Keene Fleet cap. That small motion seemed to hit Dad harder than the reporters. I said back to work, Travis repeated. Under whose name? Louis asked. Travis had no answer. The open house ended without anyone announcing it. Parents left in groups, talking quietly. The caterer began packing trays. Board officials moved into the office with Denise. The blue and gold balloons stayed tied to the tool cabinets. They looked ridiculous. Dad found me near Mom's old bay. You need to tell Denise we can fix this, he said. You can fix the buses. The contract, that is hers to decide. She listens to you. She listened to the hose. He glanced around to make sure no camera was close. Do you understand what happens if the district pulls out? This building is leveraged against that renewal. I had not known that. For one old second, my mind began doing what it always did, calculating how to save payroll, which jobs could be delayed. Whether I could work nights, whether I could call drivers and ask for patience. Then I remembered Dad taking the key from my belt. I remembered the red tags in the trash. I remembered his laugh after Travis used the microphone. This was not mine to fix. You should call your lawyer and your insurer, I said. I am asking my daughter for help. You asked your mechanic to clear a failed part. So this is revenge. No. Then help me. I already did. I stopped the buses. He looked at me for a long time. Your mother would be ashamed of what you did here. That was the hardest thing he could have said, and he knew it. I looked toward the cropped photograph on the history wall. Mom would have left the red tag on. I walked to my locker. Dad had put my master key on the bench beside it. Maybe he had planned to hand it back during his public offer. I left it there. I opened the locker and took my personal tools, Mom's small inspection mirror, my pressure gauge, 2 pairs of gloves, and the socket set I had bought with my first paycheck. At the bottom lay her heavy half-inch wrench. Her initials were scratched into the handle. For years, I had thought of it as mine because she left it in my bay. I picked it up, then set it on the shared workbench. The garage was part of her life. It did not have to be the rest of mine. Megan stood in the locker room doorway. Are you leaving? Yes. For the day? No. Her face tightened. What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Dad is going to fire me. Maybe. You can tell Denise I helped. You did tell the truth. After. Yes. She leaned against the doorframe. I am sorry. I closed my toolbox. I know. Do you? I know you're sorry now. She looked down. That is fair. It is true. I carried my tools out through the main doors. The trust banner still hung over the empty stage. The oil filter from the children's demonstration sat on the engine block where the little girl had left it. Outside, a district tow crew was lining up to move the grounded buses. Denise came toward me. You quitting? She asked. I think I quit Thursday. It just took me until today to leave. She looked at the toolbox. The district inspection bay is short 2 certified mechanics. I almost smiled. Is this a job offer? It is information. Apply like everyone else. That sounds more like you. Your family may blame you publicly. They blamed me privately for years. I can adjust. For the first time, the red tag with my initials did not feel like something I had to defend. It had done its job. Dad called that night. I let it ring. Travis sent a message at 1 in the morning. You always hated that Dad chose me. I read it once. He was not entirely wrong. I had hated the choosing. I had hated watching Dad turn a family business built by 2 skilled people into a story about men who led and women who supported. But I had not wanted Travis's office. I had wanted him to respect the red tag. I deleted the message without answering. On Monday, the district confirmed that none of the affected buses had carried children after my call. The contract stayed frozen, and another garage covered the routes. The local paper ran a photograph of Denise holding the split hose beneath the anniversary banner. The safety plaque never came back. Dad blamed the supplier in every interview. He did not mention my red tags or taking my key. The garage stayed open, but smaller. Several fleet clients left. Lewis found work at the county shop, Cal moved to a trucking company, and Noah enrolled in a diesel program. Megan asked me to meet her at a diner 3 weeks later. I almost said no. Then I went because not every closed door needs to be locked forever. She was already in a booth with 2 coffees. She had left the garage after Dad asked her to hide another mistake. I said no, she told me. Good. It took me long enough. Yes. She flinched, then nodded. I kept thinking about the program, she said. I typed the employee list. I saw your name on my screen, then I deleted it. I stirred my coffee. Why are you telling me? Because at the ceremony I acted like Dad erased you by himself. He didn't. No. I helped. Yes. She waited for me to make it easier. I did not. After a while she said, can we ever be okay? I don't know. Do you want to be? That answer was not simple. I loved my sister. I also knew she had watched me get pushed out because keeping her paycheck felt safer than saying my name. I want us to be honest, I said. That is all I can promise. She accepted that. We finished the coffee. When we left, she hugged me in the parking lot. I hugged her back, but the hug did not repair 10 years. It was one true thing after a lot of false ones. Dad kept calling. Some messages were angry. One said he had found Mom's old gloves. He never said I was wrong to install the hoses. He never said I was wrong to laugh. I did not go back for Mom's gloves. 6 weeks after the open house, I started at the district inspection bay. Denise had been serious when she told me to apply like everyone else. I earned the job. My title was Senior Inspection Mechanic. There was no stage, no banner, no enlarged photograph. My first morning began at 5:10 with a bus pulling left during braking. A mechanic named Priya and I fixed it and returned it to service. At 7, drivers began arriving. The yard filled with diesel noise and yellow lights. One driver stopped beside my bay. You the red tag mechanic? He asked. I looked up from my cart. For a second, I expected the name to feel like another label someone had chosen for me. I am Lee, I said. He nodded. Lee, then. Thanks for stopping that bus. That is the job. Still, thanks. He walked to his bus. That afternoon, I watched the repaired bus return to service. Children climbed aboard carrying backpacks and instrument cases. Nothing happened. The bus pulled away, made its turn, and disappeared through the gate. That nothing was the result. If somebody has ever reduced your real work to one small sentence, leave that sentence in a comment and then decide whether it still belongs to you. My father had taught me that family recognition could be delayed until it became useful. Travis had taught me that people who dismiss your skill may still reach for your name when they need protection. Megan had taught me that fear can explain silence without excusing it. My mother had taught me something simpler. When a part is unsafe, mark it. When a bus should not move, stop it. When people laugh because your work looks small, check the work anyway. I used to think being needed meant I was loved. Then I thought being overlooked meant I had failed. I was wrong about both. I knew what my hands could do, and I no longer needed my family to make that knowledge official.